Hello and welcome to the Custis Blue Yabcast with yours truly, Custis Blue. We are diving right in. So today, this sounds like it's going to be loud, but I'm going to put some compression on it probably, so it'll be okay. Guys, today we are going to talk about my favorite story in the Bible. But before we go into that, I wouldn't consider myself religious. But that doesn't mean I can't have a favorite story in a book, right? Yeah. And how I try, and then I'm going to talk about how I try to interpret that story. Now, listen, I don't know. I might completely be making this up. I don't even know if it's really the story. But I'm going to do it anyway, because that's what it means to be human. You're allowed to fucking say things. Anyway, who told you you were naked? That's what we're about to get into. I've probably talked about this before, to be honest, but I thought, why not have a episode on it? Again, I'd like to preface with, I'm just a dude who thinks a lot. I'm making this up, putting this out of my booty. This is from my own thoughts, from listening to other people talk about it. It's a culmination of my perception of life, expressing or explaining what I think the interpretation is of this. Anyway. Columbe, sponsor me, baby. Sponsor me. Gluten-free. All right, here we go. So, I'm talking about the story of the Garden of Eden. Okay? We had Adam and Eve. Naked. Prancing around, living life. Probably boning. Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing. They were experiencing. Anyway, they were prancing around the Garden of Eden, and they had one rule, man. One rule. Don't eat the apple, Adam. Don't eat the apple in the Garden of Eden. Don't do it. Eve, Adam. Now listen, when a baddie tells you you should do something, you should do it. Now, anyway, what was it, Satan, the snake? Who fucking knows? He was like, ooh, come eat this apple. And he was like, you won't. And at this point, I'm literally making this up. I have not read this story in a very long time. Anyway, and he's like, you won't, and Adam's like, I'm a man, I will. Okay, he did not do it like that, but that's how I envision it. You know, if I one time, just on a quick side note, did a backflip off a cliff edge into water without even testing how deep the water was. It was when I was 17 or 16, because my ex-girlfriend finally would go on a date with me, and I took her to I was like, I'm a man. But it's not the same thing, because she didn't even try to. She probably told me not to do it. She probably just like, this kid is an idiot. I don't even want to. I've done so many embarrassing things. It's hard to look back. Okay. I might cry because I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed this is just, I'm getting flooding memories of all the embarrassing things I've done to impress a girl. All right. And they weren't impressive. Anyway, I belly flopped. And I couldn't breathe. But thankfully I didn't die. All right, so. Okay, so long story short, they took a bite of the apple. And what did they notice when they took a bite of the apple? That it was nice and tasty. It was nice and tasty. And you know what else they noticed? That they were naked. And they covered up. They were embarrassed of their nakedness. And they covered it up. That's what happened when they bit the apple. Now, they covered up. They were guilty. Well, they didn't say anything. But then God saw them. And he was like, yo. Y'all did something. Y'all did something that y'all shouldn't have done. I had one rule. I know y'all did something. And they're like, what you talking about, God? We haven't done anything. And he's like, well, why are you wearing Prada? Not really. They weren't wearing Prada. He's like, why are you wearing clothes? I thought we were a nudist area. Now you're wearing clothes out of nowhere. And they're like, well, we wanted to cover up. And then God was like, who the hell told y'all that y'all were naked? He was like, who told y'all were naked? Why do you feel the need to cover up? Why do you feel the need to hide? Why do you feel embarrassed? Who told y'all were naked? Anyway, to me, very impactful story. I think that we all feel naked. And we all try to cover up all the time, metaphorically. Not saying you should run around naked. Not saying I want to join a nudist place one of these days. Sounds freeing. But let's not run around with our dinglings out. Although I do believe in free the nipple. I'm not going to say that. I just want to say something, but I'm not going to say it. Anyway, so, who told y'all were naked? There's so many different, layers to this story. To me, one of the layers, I interpret it kind of multiple ways, but they all kind of conjoin to the same thing. So to me, biting the apple, doing the, what is it? What do they call it? The original sin, whatever, was almost like identifying with your ego. Or it is ego, but it just doesn't feel fair to say having an ego, having identity is the sin. I will say that suffering comes from identity, it seems to. Because why did that happen to me? If you didn't have identity and separation, you probably would even know what me is. You would just be like a human blob experiencing God, like you're on some crazy drug all the time. That sounds like it would feel good. Low key. But then I want to be blue. I want to have these experiences. I want to be able to talk to you. I want to be able to have a conversation. So for me, it's weird to say ego is a sin. There was a time when I literally was trying to rid myself of ego and just be fully present. Which is just it's such an egoic thing to do. By the way. But anyway, Who told you you were naked? Yeah. So biting the apple to me is identifying with the ego, coming from the place of ego and identity, and forgetting about God or the universe or whatever it is, or presence or being here or the sound of a breath. I don't know. And again, I don't pretend to be here present all the time. In fact, I don't feel present a lot of times. I'm very identified with my ego. Even when I'm separating myself from my ego, that's my ego identifying with my ego, and my ego, blah, 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 blah. Ego, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, don't know if that makes sense. But this is just something that it's one of my favorite topics. Who told you you were naked? Why is that a bad thing? Why are we embarrassed and insecure? It has to come from separation and identity. And identity is a learned thing. You learned the word I. You learned that separation as you grew older from people, from experiencing. I don't know I can't remember what it's like to be a baby, but I bet you it was like tripping balls. And you were just pure experience. You didn't even know how to define anything. I tell you what, if I came out of the womb and this is what I was looking at, these lights, my 2 monitors, my camera, this microphone, I'll be like... And honestly, these lights probably resemble a fucking hospital room. Probably not the most beautiful place to come out of. But the thing is, I wouldn't know anything, so I would just be experiencing all these things, and there'd probably be a sense of overwhelmingness to just all of a sudden get hit by life instead of being in the warm, nice womb of my lovely mom. And then you're just like smack dab in life, and you're just tripping, and kids are just tripping all the time. I work with kids. I work with little kids. We play soccer. And sometimes when the grass is tall and there's more trees around, it's very hard for them to pay attention because they're just like, oh my God, like they don't have a definition for 90% of the things. You know, that's experience. And at some point, they learn their name and they start identifying with that, which is normal and fine and a part of being human, by the way. Don't fall into the ego trap of you should shed yourself of identity completely. If you do, if you try to do that, your identity is the one that's trying to shed the identity. Again, I'm talking out of my ass. But anyway, I love this topic. It's so confusing. It's so interesting. Where was I? So, okay, Adam and Eve prancing around naked. Sounds like a fun time, bruh. Sounds like a fun time. In fact, I think, finding your soulmate is about finding someone you can be naked with, metaphorically and obviously physically. Finding someone where you can express freely. But don't blame your partner for not being able to express freely. You weren't able to express freely before them. You're not magically going to be able to express freely after them, and they're also learning. You got to learn that yourself. But it's really nice to have a loving and unconditional loving companion. Or so I think. JK, I know it is because I have an unconditionally loving family. And I can be anything, and I will still be loved. Anyway, so I'm very thankful for that. Thank you, God, universe. Thank you, parents. Okay. But they're learning too. I mean, it's unconditional in the sense of like they're going to love me, but that don't mean that they ain't going to resist some things. Okay? Love is not just do what you want, you know. But we're talking about relationships, which I'm not trying to get into right now. I want to get into identity more. I love talking about identity because it helps me understand, even though I don't need to. But it's just, I don't know anyone who wouldn't be interested in this topic. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so they're prancing around naked. They're biting the apple. They're identifying with their name, with the world, with separation. Maybe? Who knows? That could be one of the layers. And they're embarrassed. What is that? I'm embarrassed a lot of things. I'm insecure about a lot of things. I'm, thankfully feeling a little less insecure. I think everyone has trouble with that. But who told me? First of all, not only why am I getting embarrassed for being and expressing and being human, but why is the feeling of embarrassment even wrong? There's always another layer. That's the thing. So I think the biggest trap, especially for people who tend to have very negative thought patterns, is that what happens is you not only pick yourself apart, but after a while, you start picking apart the part that picks you apart. Too harsh on yourself. And then, guess what? You pick apart that part. And it's just a really toxic cycle. And that's why fully biting the apple isn't that helpful, and maybe is the original sin. Separation, possibly. Who knows? That's the only way to hold resentment towards someone, is to feel separate. Again, guys, please protect yourself from people who have bitten the apple so fully that they no longer have any connection to empathy, and are fully just some people, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but some people are just ego. Sometimes it feels like that, and I don't mean it like I'm better than them. In fact, hell, they probably might be better than me. To be fully, but when I say that, is some of them are fully ego, but they're mean, and they want to get over someone, and they're willing to hurt people to get above them and stuff. So just don't not protect yourself. You can love people and protect yourself with boundaries. That's what love is. Anyway, sponsor break. JK, I don't have that sponsor. The silence feels so good today. Sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, what I was saying is that bite the apple. Just know that when you bite just know that if you bit the apple, that's okay. That's called you're a human. You're a human. That's okay. It's in the past. You can bite the apple many times. I'm sure it's sweet and nice and amazing. And I love it. I love fully dancing around and being convinced I'm blue. Right now I'm talking in a way like I'm not identity. Like I'm not. But I am. And I know I am. But sometimes you get to talk, third person. Some of y'all might think I'm crazy. And I probably am, but that's okay. And if I am a little crazy, then I can just come back to the breath. Anyway, guys, is there more I can say about this? There definitely is more, but I feel like since I haven't stayed on topic very well, like I'll just continue explaining the same exact thing. But it's one thing I really like to explain, not gonna lie. I kind of have to pee, but it's only been 20 minutes, so we'll keep talking. But maybe I'll talk about something, more life updates. So, and we'll probably get back into that somehow. I don't know. But life update and manifestation. I don't know. Here we go. So, how do I'm about a month and a half back on Prozac, but really actually like doing the Prozac this time. Not even a month and a half. I'm starting to feel really good. I think the Prozac's helping. I think other things are helping. I think it's a compounded things. Loving jiu-jitsu. Mentioned that a million times. You can see that on my Instagram. Got my first stripe. Wow. Go me. Oh. My shoulder has been hurting a lot, but I've been doing some shoulder things to help with that because I've had a long shoulder injury for a while. Anyway. I feel like I have said this before, but I'm in manifestation mode. But I'm not really, trying to manifest something so great. I'm just trying to manifest happiness. I'm giving myself the feeling of happiness. And I'm riding that feeling. And I don't get it all day. And it comes mostly, honestly, after jiu-jitsu and after that meal, that dinner. Oh. Sorry. I was thinking about a different type of dinner. I'm kidding. Okay. Guys, y'all can tell I've been single for a while. Sorry. Okay, so wait. Anyway, manifestation. What even is it? Maybe we'll talk about do you want me to talk about manifestation next episode? Like go deep into it? I don't know. It's just a concept that I could talk about too. And it would probably align with this most recent one. But anyway, I just been having more moments of happiness. And you know what's really scary about that for me? Is I've been here so many times. And it always feels like I'm about to break through. Almost like a butterfly. I feel like a butterfly. Just the lights are peeking out. And then it feels like, for me, a lot of times it just goes, and I'm back in the cocoon. I just feel like I never can fully break out. I feel like, and the cocoon always sucks, bro. And it's always longer, bro. I'm always there for way longer than I want to be. And it stinks, man. It stinks. And then I get these little peaks of light, and I'm like, oh my God, sunlight, finally. Oh, ooh. But in a good way. Like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. Like I'm starving. Like water after a crazy workout. I just finally get water. And then I'm like, oh my God, maybe I'm feeling safe. Like, oh, it's safe out here. I'm coming out of this cocoon, and I'm about to flap my wings around and radiate love and happiness and whatever. And then all of a sudden the cocoon goes, bitch, you thought. I love you. You thought, So try not to get my hopes up, but I am trying to ride out each beam of light. Because I deserve it. And you do too. Baddies, drink water. I love you. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. I will heart you if you listened all the way through. Drink some water. Maybe do some meditation. Do a little 5-minuter. All right. You can think the whole time you're meditating. Who cares? Bye.